Good evening, cowboys, cowgirls, and outlaws. Welcome to the Slick Sixguns Network. I'm your host, Slick Sixguns, and I'm here to provide education, tips, and community for those interested in the Western shooting sports. If you're interested in stuff like that, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notifications bell so you don't miss anything. Now let's pack our wagons and see what's being discovered out west. Good morning, cowboys, cowgirls, and outlaws. Welcome to the Slick Sixguns Network Facebook page. I'm looking forward to doing this live stream with you. As you guys know, this is a chance for you to get to know me. It's a chance for us to get to know each other. It's also a chance for me to showcase some things that are about to come on the channel. And more importantly, it's actually about socialization. So we will be having coffee this morning. With that being said, get out your coffee. Please let me know where you are watching from. Let me know what you are drinking. I know that it is 5 o'clock somewhere for people. I know that it is morning. It could be any time of the day. Maybe you're at work. Maybe you're at play. Maybe you're just plain interested in this live stream, or God forbid you're bored. You wanted to go ahead and learn something new. And we'll just say cheers to it all. I hope you all are having a great day out there. It's a beautiful day out here in Central Texas. For those of you who are my fellow Central Texas fans, good morning. It's good to see you. So, just to let you guys know, before I get started on this, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that I have things that if you want to support this channel, you can always go to my Buy Me a Coffee page, or you can also go to my Patreon page if you feel on supporting. You can support for as little as $1 a month, or a one-time gift, depending on how you want to skin that cat. Thank you for tuning in, otherwise. So, we are going to be covering other topics today as well. It's not just going to be about the firearm that I'm going to show. But I also want to preface this and tell you guys that any of the firearms that I show on here have been safety checked. So for all you range safety officers out there, just go ahead and keep your comments to yourself. Anyway, it's good to see everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to know what you are currently doing, whether you're taking a break or whatnot. So, with that being said, I want to show everybody some awesome things that I got today. Or I shouldn't say today, I got throughout the week. If you guys notice, I've got my background up, so I'm getting more of a professional look with my live streams, a little bit more streamlined look rather than a plain white wall in the back with a door opening. For those of you who are used to seeing that, well, you get used to seeing this too. So, let's go ahead and get on with it. Something that was kind of interesting that I received from a fellow viewer. It'll be a shirt. Look at that. It says, "Be my Huckleberry." What a shirt. I'll tell you what, and it fits just the right size too. You know, XL. My fellow XL brothers out there, if you're interested in buying shirts for your favorite YouTube cowboy, by all means, XL is the way to go. So it's just a neat looking shirt there. Anyway, let me know how you guys are doing in the comment section. Feel free to ask me any question at any time, depending on what you want to ask me. It doesn't really matter. I'll go ahead and answer it to the best of my ability, and hopefully answer your question. Serious, ridiculous, indifferent, doesn't matter to me. But I also want to go ahead and say that this weekend is going to be pretty exciting. Can anyone say that they're excited to... This is a little off topic of cowboy and western, but is anybody excited to go see Top Gun Maverick? I mean, that movie, I've been waiting for that movie for the last 2 years. So, you know, some people have been waiting for the last 36 years. But I remember when I watched the first one, it was quite interesting. So I thought that, you know, much like the other audiences out there who probably saw it back then in 1986 probably thought the same thing. I'm very excited to see the aerial footage on that. I think based on some of the critics and some of the reviews that I've heard, that it's nothing like it. and definitely nothing like the original, which, you know, that's not always a bad thing. So really excited to see that. I'm going to check it out this weekend. Let me know in the comment section if you are seeing Top Gun 2 Maverick. I would love to hear what you had to say. Please don't give me any spoilers. I would not want that. But if you do, oh well. You know, it'll be fun. Alright. Well, the type of coffee I'm drinking today is just my normal. It is not provided by a viewer, so I will not necessarily be doing a shout out. That's okay. But, you know, I've also got my Chemical Corps cup here. For those of you who don't know, I am in the Army Reserves. I am in the Chemical Corps. I have two other MOSs. I have two MOSs that I hold. One that I'm actually qualified in currently. The other one's a little outdated, but that's neither here nor there. Later on, I might be giving some viewers some shout outs. Alright, so what are we here for today? Well, today I am going to be talking about my Miroku Winchester 1873. It is a newer model of the Winchester 1873, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I am not going to be talking about the history. I'm not going to be covering specific details. I'm going to try and stay away from as much detail as possible and just give you the overall view. And all I'm going to talk about is simply the firearm, what it looks like. I'm going to be telling you about why I decided to get it, what I use it for, and what I think of it just by personally looking at it and just by telling you based on my experience of how I've used it. This is not an intensive review. If you are interested in something like an intensive review, by all means go ahead and go check it out on my YouTube channel. I will get to that review at some point. I know some of you have been waiting a couple years for it. So let me take one more swig of coffee and I'll go ahead and show you the firearm, okay? Alright, let's go ahead and show you. Righty. So this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is my Miroku Winchester 1873. I'm going to go ahead and show clear for all you guys out there. So she is all clear, as you can see. Oh man, this is just a sleek looking gun. I'll tell you that right now. Go ahead and go from the back end here. Alright, so she's got a crescent butt plate going into the stock. It's kind of a plain looking finish here. Although I'm not going to say, just when I say plain, I'm not going to say it doesn't look good. By all means, everybody has their opinions. In my personal opinion, I think this stock is actually really good looking. You know, it's not as shiny as some of the other stocks I've seen on other types of replicas of this rifle. But I will say that the plain Jane, just straight walnut finish, I'm going to assume it's walnut. As I said, do not quote me on the details here. And if you're going to comment on it, you know, say, well, it ain't walnut. Okay, fine. It isn't walnut. I don't know what it is exactly because I haven't done the intensive review. Okay? So, want to let you guys know also that I have slightly modified this to have the tang sight on it. Okay? This tang sight came from it's a Marbles tang sight that I bought off of Midway. This does not come factory with the firearm. I'll let you know. So you do have to purchase this as an aftermarket part. But I'll tell you what, it is worth it, and I wanted to get a longer sight radius. So I think it's great. I love having kind of a little ghost ring aperture when I use it for competition. And yes, I do use it for competition. Going down to the lever, I have installed a lever wrap here. Nice little leather lever wrap, if you will. It's got the standard 1873 locking system, lever lock here. So, you know, you twist that and it works just like so. So, you know, you can't move the lever, and then you can undo it like so. And it's a very positive locking system on there, I will say. You also got the trigger here, which is just a nice curved trigger. You got a slightly gnarled looking hammer on there if you can look at the detail on it. You've got the dust cover, which is very indicative of the 1873, and you got the side plates as well. So just very neat and crisp looking there. I will say that I like how crisp this, I shouldn't say crisp, I should say how flush the dust cover is on the 1873, at least on this model. I just think that's really neat. You'll also see that it's got its standard loading gate here on the side, and if you go, and these are on all Mirokus, I believe, you're going to look down here and you'll see the caliber. You're also going to see that, you know, you're going to see that sometimes I believe you'll also see that on your birdies as well. Don't go by me 100%. You know, I know that some of the other ones a little bit on the older side may or may not have it. Depends on whether you have an aftermarket elevator or not, or lifter, I should say. Carrier, excuse me, carrier. They call it the carrier, not the lifter, not the elevator. You know, it operates, what can I say? But it is in 45 Colt. So this is my, and I know you guys have all seen the video, 45 Colt, and you'll see what it says about me, but 45 Colt is my favorite caliber to use, so I prefer to get rifles in that, although that is not traditional when it comes to historical accuracy. So you'll see that this one actually has the Winchester markings on it, on the barrel, as well as on the frame. Going down to the barrel, it is just a standard round barrel. It is not octagonal in any way. I do have some octagonal barrels, some octagonal barrel 1873s, but I do not have it in the Miroku version. Going to the handguard here, it's just a short rifle or a standard rifle length handguard. It's not a carbine, so you got the fore-end cap here. So I've always kind of liked the fore-end caps. I'm not really a fan of the carbine handguards. I just don't think they look really that clean. I think they're kind of, you know, I don't know. If I have to get a carbine, okay, and yes, they're great for the shorter barrels, but I just don't like the look of the wood, of the way the wood is cut. I just prefer the fore-end cap here. I just think that looks more flush with the metal. It just makes it look overall cleaner. All right, this is in a 20-inch barrel, and it is in a full-length magazine tube. The front sight has a brass bead in it, just kind of neat. The only thing I don't really like about these types of sights, although the originals came in kind of a German silver to my knowledge, I know that because I have an original that has the German silver tip, but they also came in different variants too, because this is one of the more custom ordered guns that you could get from Winchester back in the day. Nowadays, you know, they just kind of come out with whatever models. I have not heard of Winchester at this point having a custom 1873 out, although I know that they have some of their factory engraves, and they have their special 1 of 1000 series, which I know they started coming out with again. You know, let me know if you have actually one of those in your collection. Love to hear it. But yes, this is the Miroku Winchester 1873. Going to the back end here on the other side, you're going to see the other side plate on the frame. Nice clean finish here. Crescent butt plate again. You know, nice, very nice. I'll say it's a nice trigger here as well. I think it's a very crisp break. Just a little bit there, just slight, a little bit heavier. Probably not as heavy as the originals. I've kind of noticed that about replicas, but then again, you know, it depends. So your mileage may vary with the trigger pull. I haven't quite tested the trigger pull on this, so I will not tell you exactly what the poundage is. I just know that the single break is awesome. in my opinion. So it's just a very nice looking rifle. Okay. And I also like the sight on the rear just because not only is it a great little aperture sight, but the buckhorn sights that it came with, I think they're okay. I'm just not a huge fan of using those. I like something that I can adjust a little bit easier. So something with dials that actually is a little bit more period correct to me is worth it. So I think it's greater for target acquisition. The only downside to that for me is just the fact that I can't necessarily put my thumb all the way around, especially during competition. But normally you really don't do that as much. Some people do, some people don't. It depends on your preference. It kind of gets in the way sometimes of my thumb, is my point, is what I'm saying. But it's a good sight. I like it. I really have not a whole lot of complaints about it. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pick up my coffee here. So, all right. So, let's go ahead and talk about why did I get this firearm? Well, when did I get this firearm, I think is a better question. By all means, if you have any questions on any of the firearms I'm showing you, ask me in the comment section. I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you have any experience with them, let me know. I'm always interested to find out exactly what my audience thinks of the firearms that I showcase. So, by all means, I don't consider myself 100% expert. I don't know everything. I just know, the stuff that I look up just like anybody else. Okay? But I'm going to try and stay away from the facts as much as possible so that I don't get a whole lot of comments. Anyway, why did I get this? When did I get this? I got this back in 2016. So several years ago, about 6 years ago, I got this rifle. As you guys know, obviously with the amount of rifles that I show, the amount of firearms I show, I'm a little bit on the collector status. I like to collect the different variants. I do have a Uberti, I do have an original, and I also wanted one of the newer versions when they came out with them. I heard a lot of good things about them. And on top of that, when I bought it back then, the price was actually relatively fair. It was a little bit more expensive than the Ubertis. It's kind of funny because you look back on on some of the different variants that they have out there for other rifles, like for the Ubertis, typically are, especially with the Henry rifle variants. Go ahead and put this here so that I can actually hold my coffee. But the thing is with the Henry rifle, you are going to spend a lot more on one of the newer originals, from Henry Repeating Arms. You're going to spend probably up to twice as much on that. From what I've seen, the Ubertis, at least currently now, can go anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500, or maybe a little bit more on the 1860 Henry variant. And then you go over to the Henry Repeating Arms Company, and you go to their new original Henry, and you're looking at upwards of almost 3,000, at least now. That's not the way it used to be. When I bought my Henry Repeating Arms, it was probably about 2,100, but that was still twice as much as the Ubertis at the time. So, with that being said, back in 2016, these were maybe just slightly more expensive than the Uberti variants. So they were a little bit more, not terribly they weren't twice as much, at least when I bought it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. you know, I haven't looked at the most recent price on these rifles, but I can tell you that what I paid for it when I bought it, I paid probably about $1,100 for it in 45 Colt. Once again, this is in 45 Colt. It is a short rifle configuration, so it's 20 inches. Bought it back in 2016 for $1,200. Why did I buy it? Because I wanted the different variants. I wanted to have the different evolutions of the Winchester 1873, because I do have an original. I do have a Uberti. I have two Uberti variants, a 357 and a 45 Colt variant. And now I have one of the newer variants of it that are, you know, imported from Miroku over in Japan. But it has the Winchester name stamped on the barrel, which I think is kind of neat, you know, to see that you have a Winchester, an actual Winchester newer variant. So that is why I got it. And I also heard good things about them. I just liked the look of them. They looked a little bit cleaner. Although I am a fan of color case hardening, I noticed that even though Ubertis come in a variety of different finishes, a lot of the ones I was seeing were mainly in their color case hardened type, which to me really wasn't as attractive. And I don't know why it wasn't as attractive, but maybe it was just the fact of their process of their color case hardening, because they're mass producing them really isn't super awesome. You know, it's not like you're looking at a Turnbull restoration type, which, by the way, let me know if you've gone to them just to see what it's like. But I mean, you know, it's not that deep of a color case hardening, you know, and it's kind of hit or miss on the finish. So I wanted just a plain Jane blued finish. I saw a few blued finishes on the Ubertis. I thought they were pretty neat, but I didn't really think they were as crisp and as clear as this. They call it a brush polish finish, to my knowledge. Brush polish blued finish here. So I just think this one is a little bit darker, a little bit richer. So I thought that was kind of neat. You know, and I'm not really, a lot of the Ubertis come with red wood, red stained wood, even though you can change the color on that, and I know that people have. I'm just not really a super huge fan of the red wood. So, you know, as far as aesthetics are concerned, I think this rifle has far more better aesthetics, in my opinion, than a Uberti. Although, you know, aesthetics really means nothing when it comes to function. When it comes to historical accuracy, you see a little bit more with, obviously, the Uberti, because they've been doing it longer. And I'll show you some few things that you're not going to see on a Uberti that you will see on this. But you also, on the originals, you know, you can't beat the originals. That's what they were made in. But they came in so many different kinds when it came to custom orders, when it came to barrels, when it came to embellishments, sights, everything. You know, that was one of the most popular things about it. All right. I'm going to go ahead and show you this rifle again. Here, for those of you who are just watching. Very beautiful looking rifle here. Very crisp, very clean. I'll go ahead and run the action for you guys just to show you how clean it is. All right. So. Yep. There you go. So, under time pressure and under the fact that you're running and gunning in a competition, you'll run these probably a little bit faster than you would if you're just test firing them. You know, as we all have experienced, those of us who are 73 owners know that we've got a lever safety here, and you definitely have to depress that and make sure that it is fully depressed so that you can actually discharge the weapon. So, people complain about that. I haven't done anything to mine. I don't plan on doing anything to mine. The Ubertis, on the other hand, yes, I've done things to them. I do modify them just because I want to actually create competition gun, if you will. So, you know, I do have a 1873 that I've modified specifically for competition, and I can show you all the different stuff that comes with it. But this one I did not want to touch. I didn't want to change. I just wanted to keep it original except for the sight. So I thought that was kind of neat. So I told you about why I bought it. I told you when I bought it. And let's talk a little bit about my experience with it in competition. And for those of you who have used these in competition, let me know what you guys think. I would like to hear what your other experiences are. Please do. I'd love to hear it. You know, I will say I can run this gun faster than most of my other rifles. And I can run it pretty, you know, as I said, it's, you know, and this is just me. This is not saying for everyone else out there. This is 100% me. When I take this gun out there and shoot it in competition, I'm probably running at least in the 40-second mark. But then again, you know, I mean, people are going to tell you, well, that's not that fast. Well, it's not that fast for you, but for me, because, you know, I don't really go to these competitions and say that, you know, I'm going to be the super fastest, and my goal is not to be the fastest in the sport. So my goal is to just basically compete with myself over time and see if I've gotten any better. And, you know, for lack of a better word, just through time, experience, the fact that I've been in the sport, the fact that I've had tried different guns, yes, I have gotten faster because I'm a little bit more used to it. And because of some of the guns that I have or have not modified and I know how they function, I'm able to run the stages a little bit faster. So I will say that this gun definitely is more in my competition bracket than it is in just my I'm going to go out and have a fun time shoot. You know, if I'm taking this gun out, I'm intending to make a little bit of placement, if you will. So I am attempting to be competitively shooting for speed. But I think, you know, as far as accuracy is concerned, it's all on the shooter and how far you're shooting and your position and all that stuff. But, you know, for lack of a better word, you know, during cowboy action, sometimes just to be, you know, a funny guy, I'll go out to the silhouette targets that are shaped like cowboys and I'll place headshots on them, not for time's sake, but just because I can, you know. And I'm sure most people will say, well, it's not that far. Well, that's fine, you know, but I just shoot my way, I shoot my style, and that's just the way it is, you know. But if I'm feeling a little bit frisky on trying to be faster, that's when I do start to pick this gun up. You know, so this is a happy balance between I want to just have a good time at the range to I am seriously competitively shooting. That is my opinion of this gun. Take it for what it is. Complaints? Do I have any complaints of this rifle? No. I have absolutely zero complaints to the original stock configuration of this rifle. I have taken this thing apart down to the bare bones. And if you guys want to take a look at that, go to my YouTube channel and watch that by all means. I think that is a great way to get to know your firearm, in my opinion. I have not since created a video that shows you how to put this back together. I will, and for those of you who have been waiting a couple years to put your Mirokus back together, it's coming, I promise. You know, to take one of these down to the bare bones, it's some of the pieces are similar, some of the pieces are different, but you know, if you do, you know, don't expect to be perfect your first time. I know that I've had my own issues taking it apart. You know, any gun that you break down to the bare bones is going to be a pain in the ass to reassemble. Excuse me, is going to be a pain in the butt to reassemble. So, you know, and this is no exception. But, you know, I do like the side plates on it. I think when that came out, that was a great idea on Winchester's part. You know, for them to keep that in the iconic 73 is pretty awesome. I haven't shot black powder through this yet. You know, but I would imagine that if I did, I'd have no problem cleaning it. So I think that's pretty awesome about that. I think it's just a very slick gun. I'll show you something that's a little bit different about it than compared to the Ubertis, which I think is interesting compared to the Ubertis and the originals. One of the things you are going to see is that the firing pin extension is going to be shaped differently. On the Ubertis and the originals, it's just a standard all-steel one piece. It doesn't have any connections. It doesn't have any firing pin extensions further beyond that. But this thing actually does have a firing pin extension add-on that's like a rebounding firing pin, I believe is what it is. You know, I think it's just kind of an added measure of safety. So, but you're not going to see that on the originals or the Ubertis, so that's a little bit different. You're also not going to see you will see on originals, you will see that you have the different models, the first, second, and third model. The second model is going to be, you may have to go back and look at my video, but this is one of the different models of the 1873 variant. They changed it slightly. It used to be just one piece screw because this rail was additionally just it was not attached except through the screw, and then it was actually milled into the frame more in the third model. So this is a combination of the old and new style. On the Ubertis, you're not going to see this. So it's just, you know, it's just one more change. So I think that's neat. You know, the wood's going to be different slightly, as I said. The wood on the Ubertis is going to be more reddish. I'm sure you can get different varnishes, and I'm sure you can varnish it yourself if you really wanted to. Another thing you are also going to see compared to the Ubertis is when you establish a tang sight. If I were to take this off, there would already be a drilling and tapping for that sight. To my knowledge, and don't 100% quote me on this, but from what I've seen of these models from Miroku, they are all drilled and tapped on the tang in order to accept the tang sight. On a Uberti, you're not going to see that. You are going to see the one screw on the end, and then you're going to have to drill and tap it yourself if you want to put in a rear sight on it. So just kind of a little extra work that you're going to have to do if you want to put a different sight on a Uberti. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just think that, you know, think of where you're putting your price point. So if you're paying a little less for a Uberti, you may not be necessarily getting the bells and whistles. You know, but then again, a lot of the aftermarket parts don't 100% go on me, but a lot of the aftermarket parts that make a lot of these guns go faster are mainly meant for Ubertis from what I've seen. But, you know, Winchester, there's not really as many parts out there. That's what I see with a lot of people commenting. Don't 100% say that because it's been a couple of years. So, you know, I'm sure you can somewhere find parts and you can somehow machine parts, you know, if that's your thing. So, or you can modify Uberti parts to fit this. I don't know. I have not tried that, you know, so I said I'm not really going to. So, you know, the Uberti parts to me are meant for the Ubertis. That's the way it is. You know, depending on where you get your parts from. So I'll go ahead and show this to you again. We'll drink my coffee a little bit more. I'll answer a few questions if I have any, and then we'll go ahead and sign off for the day. For those of you who have not seen it yet, I am currently working on a video to put out today on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be talking about what your cowboy shotgun says about you, and I'm going to be covering 6 different shotguns. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for that episode because I'm kind of on a string of doing some funny episodes here. Yeah, I'm not wearing cowboy pants. I'm actually wearing shorts. So, you know, got to look good for the camera. So I'm really excited for that episode. I'm hoping to have it out later today. Hopefully I describe your personality. If you guys are interested in seeing other funny videos, by all means check it out on my YouTube channel. I've got another one that talks about cowboy main match rifles, what that says about you. I cover the 1873 in that. I also talk about the caliber, what caliber says about you, what your pistol caliber specifically says about you. I'll be covering shotguns this week, and maybe we'll be covering a few others in the future if I get, you know, more people who actually like that type of content. But obviously I cover informational, I cover history, I cover reviews. This by all means is not 100% intensive review, but if you've been thinking about getting a Miroku Winchester, I definitely think that if you want it, go get it. You know, I think it's a good quality gun. I think the Ubertis are a good quality gun. I think the originals are a good quality gun. So, you know, you can't really go super wrong. You know, it's all dependent on what you're more into. You know, I do this more for collecting and shooting just the different variants. Some people want 100% speed and they just want to make sure they can get all the aftermarket parts they can, and they don't want to have any flexibility with, you know, their money goes specifically to the parts for that one gun, and that's just them, and that is okay. So, you know, and then other people want to be, you know, 100% historically accurate. They want to shoot a 1873 from the period, so they go out and they save their money for that big old expensive 1873 that, you know, might look good, might not look as good, you know, but it functions. It's a shooter, and you know that's what they do. So, you know, but I fall into the collector category, and I try all the different types. I have many different flavors, if you will. You know, variety is the spice of life, right? Are there any questions out there from you guys about the Winchester 1873, the Miroku Winchesters? I can go ahead and talk about that. Tell me what you guys think. I'd like to know in the comments section. If I catch you on the replay, then, you know, I'll try to answer it after that. But other than that, I definitely love hearing your comments, good, bad, or indifferent. You know. So, by the way, I do have a competition this weekend. I'm really excited to see that. So, you know, definitely let me know if you are going to a competition this weekend. Let me know where you're going, and let me know what your loadout is. I'm kind of curious, because my loadout this weekend is going to be my Miroku 1873 that I just showed you, my Colt Single Action Army 3rd Generation 45 Colt, my Uberti Open Top. By the way, the Colt Single Action Army and the Uberti Open Top are in a nickel finish, or at least a nickel plated finish, I should say. And I am going to be using a single shot shotgun. For those of you who haven't seen that, what the type of single shot shotgun you can use in cowboy action, which yes, you can. I get questions like that sometimes of whether you can use it, and yes, you can. They're fun because you can just eject the rounds out with simply opening the barrel, because it has an ejector on it. So I think that's cool, because an ejector is authorized on a single shot. Not the double barrel, the single shot only. All right, well, thank you for watching, everybody. I will definitely see you guys in the next episode, and stay tuned for future episodes. Thank you. Description section is a link to our Patreon account if you feel like supporting us. Don't forget to buy me a coffee as well. It's cowgirls and cowboys. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. And if you're looking forward to the next video, I'll see you on down the trail. Have a good one.